Welcome to the UKOCR Community Podcast, presented by Obstacle Racing Media. Each episode, we'll be talking to race directors, elite runners, weekend warriors, and frankly, anyone else from the UKOCR scene that will talk to us. Here is your host, Alan, aka Muddy Duck.
Anywhere in Chicken Town. The bloody scene is bloody sad. The bloody news is bloody bad.
Okay.
Gemma, what a welcome to the UKOCR podcast. Oh gosh, how long is it since we met now? 8 months? 12 months nearly.
12, yeah. Yeah, last May.
Last May, yeah. When you were down at Farmyard, you and Ollie doing pairs, and gosh, remind me, you went miles. How many laps did you get in the end?
30 laps.
30 laps. So you did 15, Ollie did 15. I think you did you do all running or was it the majority running? I thought you did all running, weren't you?
I did mostly running. I did 4 laps where I tried obstacles.
Right.
And I got stuck in the tube in the middle of the night.
Was that your first time of doing obstacles? Because you're a runner. You know, you are a runner.
Yeah, so I've done some wolf runs,
yeah,
but I don't think they really count. I have done a Spartan.
Right.
But I was not very good at it.
As in not good, very good as in the obstacle wise? Yeah.
So the obstacles, I am a very typical runner. I've got not much upper body strength. So when it comes to like the monkey bars and things like that, I tend to just fall off them. I would like to do them because I think they're really cool and everyone always looks really good and friendly, but I like running too much.
How did you get with the monkey bars down at Farmyard then? Because
I almost got over them.
Yeah.
They were better than the Spartan ones because I found the Spartan ones were quite wide. And when I did one and it was a really hot day, so they were like really slippy.
Yeah.
Whereas the Farmyard ones, I found them easier.
Because they're thicker grip, they're easier to grip on because the grip is like, it's not quite smooth steel, is it? It's a little bit.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was like a confidence thing because
right.
when I got further across, I had Shelley with me and she was like, you can do it. So I was like, okay, I can do it. Whereas Spartan, everyone was falling off them and I was like, well, I can't do it then. Maybe it was the confidence.
That's a good point, that actually. I never thought about that. If you're seeing other people do obstacles, you are probably more inclined to think, I can do it. Whereas if everyone's failing, you're thinking, yeah, I've got no chance of doing that. I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah, I think, and I think I am very much, if I see someone do something, like I'm a copy learner. So when Ollie's trying to teach me stuff at the gym, if I see him do it, I tend to be able to do it. Whereas if someone explains it, I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I get that. What's your pedigree in types of running? So before Farmyard, because I know Ollie messaged me and said he was going to bring you along, and I was like, well, I don't really know who you were. I was like, not really aware of you. I did do a little look. I got on and sort of see, and you are a bit of a fairly accomplished runner. You know, you've done quite a lot of long distance races.
Yeah, so I basically started doing ultras in 2021. I didn't do very well, and then got in touch with Ollie and was like, can you basically make me a bit better? So he became my coach, and then I started to do a lot more ultras. So I've done like the Rat Race Tour of Arran and things like that. And then last year I did 100 miles with the Centurion, and I did Endure 24 and did like 95 miles for that. So yeah, distance. I always have done marathons and never felt tired.
Yeah.
I'd just finish and be like, I've got more in me. And then I've slowly built up. So then I did 50Ks and I was like, I've still got more in me. And then I did like Wendover Woods 50 miler. It's a Centurion one. It's 10,000 feet of elevation and it's laps. And I did that and I finished that. And I was like, I've still got more in me. Wow. So it's basically just pushing. I've not got to a point yet when my body's felt tired. So it's, yeah.
So even after Endure 24, 95 miles in 24 hours and doing your 100-mile ashes, you felt like you had more in you?
Yeah, I've always like, I can carry on. I think the only one thing I've done where I was very pleased where we finished was the Welsh 3000s.
Yeah.
So the 15 peaks across Snowdon. It's only 50k, but it's obviously you start across Crib Goch and you go across there, and you take in like Tryfan and lots of other mountains. So it's a very, very long day. I think that was the first time when I was like, I hurt.
I just love it. I would just say, yeah, it was only 50k. It was like, yeah, I mean, I've got into ultra running over the last few years, and that when I first started, I was like, I mean, I've never run a road marathon, not yet. I've never ran one. I've been offered one quite recently to go to Manchester, but I'm not taking it. But I never run a marathon. When I dipped my toe straight into ultra running, I was like, in for a penny, in for a pound. And the thoughts of running 50k for me for quite many years, for 10, 15 years of running, was like, no, you're never going to get me running 50k, sorry. But now I've done it and I do it on a regular basis. It's so, I don't know about you, but I don't even look for a race if it says less than 50k.
Yeah, about value for money.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I enter a marathon for £50 when I can do like a 50k and they're normally cheaper? Yeah, I think now I've got to the point where I'm like, to me, 50k is what to normal people a 5k is.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a nice short day out.
How do you train for this long distance runs then? Because people who are running 10Ks and half marathons, that they're training, they're probably doing 20, 25 miles a week. How many miles a week do you do? How many days do you train?
So I train 6 days a week, have one rest day, and it's a mix. So it will be a lot of zone 2 running, trying to keep my heart rate like nice and low, get most of the miles from that.
Yeah.
And then depends on what the race is. So if at the minute I'm training for a ridiculously hilly 100-miler in Brecon. So it's 100 miles and 23 mountains.
Wow.
So I'm doing lots of stair climbing, lots of hill repeats, long hill repeats. And then, so I'll have like a zone 2 run, then hill repeats, then some sprints, and then a long run on the Sunday. And then on the days when I'm not running, I'm either cycling, stair climbing, and then I have a day where I'll do heavy weights at the gym. And that's normally with Ollie there.
Right.
Because I'm not the most confident lifting heavy stuff. So he's there and he'll go through the lifts and what to do with me, which is a whole new world. Before I started training with him, I'd never been to that side of the gym. I'd only been like where all the cardio is and stuff like that. And I think it's massively helped.
Yeah.
Doing all the weight training, it has made me a lot stronger. My legs can take a lot more of a battering.
So do you train your legs? Do you train your core? What are you training in the gym with the weights then?
Legs and core, and
Right.
then tiny bit of upper body, but not a lot. And then recently we've just been talking about switching some of my training up. So doing some of like the stair climber and things like that with a weighted rucksack. Because obviously on the mountain ultras and some of the ultras that I'm doing, the mandatory kit is quite heavy. So my backpack can end up weighing sort of 8-9 kilos, which doesn't sound that heavy, but when you're carrying it for 24, 30 hours, it's quite a weight. So just trying to get used to that.
I get that, because when I'm struggling for time, and I haven't got time to go out and run a 15-mile run, I'll go out and I'll do 7, but I'll carry a 22-kilogram weighted vest with me. So I'll go out for a 6 or 7 mile run, just over 10k, but I'll run it in a weighted vest. And I feel, maybe I don't know, there are going to be people listening to this are going to be saying it's a load of rubbish, but I feel like I benefit from that because I'm putting extra weight onto me, so my muscles are working harder, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. I think I sometimes go to some of the Forders boot camps.
Right.
And they give you a weighted vest, which is stupidly heavy because they're all machines at that boot camp. But trying to run with that is very hard. But then I was like, actually, if I could get used to that, then when I've got my backpack on with all my mandatory gear in, I'm going to think it's super light as opposed to this is really, really heavy.
Yeah, and I get exactly that as well. It's someone once told me, I was speaking to an ultra runner at the running show a few years ago, and he was talking about running. He was saying, when you're actually doing an ultra and you've got to carry all your pack with you, why do you go and train beforehand with no pack? And I was like, he's absolutely right. So I've got to admit, when I've got a big race coming up, like 50K or more, I'm always running, even if it's a 10K, I still run with the pack on just to get
Yeah,
used to it, and I load it up with all my kit and my water. Even though I'm
yeah.
never going to use it, I still run with it just to
I
get
think
used
it's
to that feeling.
yeah, and I think it's useful having your kit on you at all times as well. And also,
Mm.
like, I went out and did a recce run in Wales at the weekend. So it was only a 20 miler, but it was in Wales. We didn't know what the weather was going to be like. So I had full mountain gear with me. I had full protection, bivy bags, full change of clothes, the lot. And one of our group actually fell over and broke his hand
Oh
on the
wow!
run. So it's like you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And if you've got that kit with you, at least you've got it.
And I'm exactly like that. A few years ago, we did. There's a race called the Trig in Yorkshire. It's only again, it's only 27 miles. Starts in Marsden, finishes in Edale. You go over the three trig points on the way there, and we set off. It was in Marsden. It was quite cool, relatively cold, but nothing major. By the time we got up to the top of Black Hill, there was heavy snow. And my friend Rob, he went and did something to his leg, and we're right on the top. We're talking 40, 50 mile an hour winds.
Mm.
The snow was coming sideways, it was knee deep, and there was really nowhere you could go. I mean, luckily, the race is put on by Mountain Rescue, and my long-time listeners, this will know this, but it's put on by Mountain Rescue. So I ran back, got the Mountain Rescue team, which were only half a mile away. They came out to him, but Rob had got his full gear with him, so he had got an Innovate like puffer jacket type of thing, one that you really
Yeah, like
screw up.
yeah,
Yeah, he'd got his waterproof jacket on and his waterproof trousers. And they actually turned around and said to him, because it took them about 3-4 hours to get him off the mountain. And they actually said that if he hadn't got that kit on him, he could have quite easily gone down into the hypothermic stage and gone
yeah,
downhill really fast. So yeah, anyone who goes running, I always say now, carry kit with you. If you're going to
yeah.
go up in the mountains, carry kit with you, even at this
Even
time
if
of.
you're in the woods though, because sometimes it can take if you're in a dodgy bit of woods where the cars can't get to you, having that kit can yeah.
Yeah. Mobile phone and kit guaranteed everywhere I go. Talking about kit, you gave me a great tip last year, which I used, which was quite random because this was not long after the Farmyard Jam, and you just sent me a picture of some sex lubricant, and you went, "This is good stuff, Alan." Um, I was getting this random picture, and I think I was out with Jamie and Rob at the time, and I was like, "Gemma sent me this." And I had to ask you, what's this for, didn't I? Do you remember this?
Yeah, so basically to help your feet, if you're going to be doing a long time on feet or a wet run or a boggy run, the best thing you can do to help prevent blisters and sort them out is very thick silicone, has to be silicone
Yeah.
based sex lube on your feet, and it helps just make your feet glide and stop the blisters. And another thing that you can put on top of your feet, which is what I use at the weekend, if you know it's going to be like nasty bog, so like Welsh bog, you can use some lanolin, which is what new mothers use on their nipples, which is a very, very thick cream as well. And you put that on your feet, and then you'll have beautiful feet.
Yeah, I actually went into Boots and bought some of this silicone lubricant. I haven't bought them long yet, but it does work. Thank you very much for the tip. But yeah, it was very fun when I got that text message.
And it's better to put it as well. Like if you know you're going to chafe anywhere, at least that stuff can go anywhere.
Well, I have got to admit, I actually use it in my groin area
Yeah.
more than on my feet. I found something else for my feet now, and I can't remember the name of it now. but it's very, very similar.
Mm.
But it's a thick cream. I'm going to put it in show notes, people, if you want to listen. I'll find out and put it in show notes. But it's very, very thick cream, and I'm finding that doesn't. What I found with the lubricant was it wasn't letting my feet breathe, and it was then trapping. You know, as your feet sweat, it was trapping the sweat inside.
What socks do you have? Do you have merino socks?
No, I use double. You said the merino wool. Yeah, they are merino wool, but I use double layer socks.
Okay, maybe that's why. Yeah, because I'll do like the single layer socks
Right.
rather than the twin skins.
Yeah, I found the twin. For me personally, I found the twin skins better. So the last two long distance ones I've done, lots of distance runs, both over 60 miles, I've had 0 blisters. With the twin skins and using this. I think it's Novotech or something like that. I'll have to find it out.
Yeah.
But I still use the silicone lubricant in my groin area and especially on my chest, you know, just to stop any type of rubbing on the shoulders and that. Because it does work. It's, you know, it lasts quite a while. So
it's much better. And
yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's just a random one when you tell people.
It was very random, you know. I still talk about this today. Me and Rob and Jamie still talk about it today and still mention it. But yeah, it was
when
very
you go into Boots and you've got your list and it's like silicone seps lube, Imodium, paracetamol, and you're just like, I'm not a sex pest, honest.
Yeah, I've got all of these things just because I need them for running. They're not for anything else. It's just purely for running.
Yeah, I don't think they believe me.
So we've got you on because we want to talk about your recent backyard ultra.
Yep.
So you've done the Farmyard Jam. We talked about that, which was on the hour, but you did that as a pair. What made you go for a backyard ultra?
So I watched it the year before. So this time last year I was watching it and they had people reporting on it, and there was quite a few people I knew that were doing it. And I followed Backyard for ages. I love following Laz's crazy races.
Yeah.
And I was like, it looks really fun because you're with people and you'll be with people that maybe you wouldn't normally run with because you run different paces or stuff like that. And so I was like, you've always got people there. It's laps. I quite like laps. I understand them. It seems like a nice, fun, easy day out.
Yeah,
What's my
nice,
logic?
funny now. I like that. and which one did you do? Because the listeners are going to shout out. Which one was it you did?
It was the Russellback Backyard Ultra. So they've got they do the one in March and they do one in September as well.
Cool. So March, weather was a bit incremental for you?
Yeah, so when we started it was raining and it was proper March, just cold rain. And then it did settle down and the weather actually wasn't that bad. It was just cold and it obviously in March it just gets dark quite early. So sort of 6 o'clock it was already dark.
Right.
And you're running through forest when there's no light, so it's obviously all a bit darker anyway. So the darkness came obviously when I do laps or loops, I do them in the summer, so it doesn't get dark till 10, 11 o'clock. So your day you don't feel like you're running as long.
Yeah. Whereabouts was the venue?
It's in Nottingham, so Sherwood Pines.
Right. Okay. Is that Sherwood Pines? That's is it Worksop area?
I want to say
just outside Worksop, Thoresby Hall.
Don't know. It's like I want to say it's somewhere that begins with an M. I want to say Mansfield, but that might be wrong.
Okay. Yeah, Mansfield's not far from that area. So, was the woods and that you were running? What type of track was it? Was it like farm track or was it single track?
There was a mix. There was like gravel track and then like a rubble kind of track where it's like rocky, and then there was 2 sections that were just mud, just proper sticky, disgusting mud. And there was 2 sections like that, and then you'd come back out and you'd have nice normal track, like forest track.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was only there was 3 hills on the whole course, so it wasn't that bad. There was no crazy hills, nothing mental.
Yeah.
So a nice runnable loop, really. And it was, each loop is 4.1 something miles as well.
Was it the same route all the time? Because I know sometimes they mix them up, don't they?
Yeah, so it was the same route for the whole time. They didn't have a different one for night time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. What was the plan going into it? I was going to ask you, what was the plan going into it? Did you have a set target? Was you just going to try and run as long as you could? What was the ultimate plan?
So when I first entered it, I was like, I want to just see how far I can go until I break, because I still haven't reached a break point.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to see what my body can do. And then I signed up for this race in June, and I was like, oh, actually, if I end up doing crazy mileage now, I might break myself for June. But then I went back on that and was like, do you know what? You've got three months until the June race. You can afford to break yourself and build back up. So I was like, right, let's go in with a big target. So I know I can do 24 hours. I know I can stay awake longer than that. So I wanted sort of around the 30-hour mark.
Yeah. That's a good target. That is a very good target.
Yeah, but obviously it didn't go to plan at all.
What was you aiming for lap times? What was you thinking? Was you thinking 50 minutes, or were you trying to go around faster or slower?
This is so in my head. So this is where it started to all go wrong in the first place. So my plan was to do each lap in about 57 minutes.
Okay.
Because that then gives me a couple of minutes to have a wee, get some food, carry on.
Yeah.
I screwed that up from lap 1 and started about 45, 48 minutes for each lap.
Okay. Which a lot of people do. So the people I've spoke to, a lot of people have said to me the first 2 laps tend to be much quicker because while they're running them, they're also looking for places they can walk. So lap 3 should be by the time you're at lap 3, that should be your time for the rest of the race.
Yeah, so I didn't settle. Like normally I can do a lap, and I'm very, very good at fast walking. I can walk very, very fast.
Yeah.
So what I'll normally do is be like, right, this tree to that tree, I'm going to fast walk this section and then run the next section. Or like, obviously, typical ultra runner, see a hill, I will walk the hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's the best idea always.
Yeah. But I found, so everybody starts together on the start line, and the first section was fairly flat, and it was about a mile until you got to the first kind of hill. So everybody was just going from the gun, not fast running. It was probably about a 9-10 minute mile, so not fast.
Yeah.
But to that point, and then they were walking, but everybody was like a pack, and it was quite close. Like the track was quite small in that place, so you were just kind of swept up. And okay. I should have ignored that. I should have just stuck to the back, like I did with Farmyard. When everyone went off, I was like, right, I run the downhill and I'll walk the up. Yeah. And I did my own thing. Whereas this time, I just got swept up with everybody and just copied everybody.
Oh yeah, that's the first mistake.
Yeah, that was mistake number 1. Not sticking to my plan.
Yeah.
Not dealing with that.
And how many laps was it every lap you got caught up in that, or was it did you quickly learn? Oh, every lap.
It was only until about lap 12 where I actually did a lap I was happy with.
Oh. So was you coming in under 50 minutes for the first 12 laps?
And I think I settled a bit, and I was coming in about 52, 53, which was a bit better, but still not. It wasn't what I wanted. But it also was a bit stressful. So the toilet situation. There was toilets at the start and finish, but then in Farmyard you've got the toilet, so you can do a bit of the lap and then go to the toilet.
Yes,
which is brilliant. In this one, there's a toilet at the start area, and then just as you crossed over the line. So if you needed to go, you had to go at the very start of each lap. You you couldn't run a little bit and then go to the toilet.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah.
I found that, and I know it's a really daft thing because it's woods and you can go for a pee, but I found that really stressful because then each lap, like after about 5 minutes, I'd be like, oh, I want a wee or something.
Yeah.
So I was coming in after each lap, literally going straight to the toilet, even if I didn't need to go, just in case, and then trying to get food in me. So that was another mistake.
Yeah, that's not always the best idea, is it? Because you, like you say, you're trying to get food, and yeah, tough. It's a tough one. That I don't work. They need to put a toilet, and I've said this quite often, that in these backyard ultras there needs to be a toilet somewhere on the halfway point.
Yeah, I think honestly it would have made a huge difference if I'd have known there was a toilet at halfway. It would have just helped settle me.
Yeah.
Because when I did endure, those are 5 mile laps, but there's a toilet halfway. And it's, even if you don't need to use it, it's that security of knowing there is a toilet halfway.
I think it's a little bit different for male and female though, because the male can they can just jump behind a tree, and you see this quite often. It's a little bit different for the female runner because it's just different, isn't it? You know what I mean? I've seen
like a normal ultra, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like if I'm out wherever, like I remember on the rat race tour of Arran, just I came off the top of Goatfell and I needed the toilet, and obviously that's really exposed up there. And I was like, I'm just gonna have to go. So just went. And I'm fine with that. But I think because this is laps and there's people constantly there.
Yes.
It was like, well, like normally on an ultra, you'd be like, well, it's all right, they've seen my bum, but I'm not going to see them for another 10 miles. Whereas this would be like, I'm going to see you every hour, knowing that you've seen me do my business.
I get that. Yeah, it is. It's a privacy thing, isn't it? It's an embarrassment thing. They do need to have them on, like, if it's just for women and the men can go behind a bush, build a big bush or something like that for the men to go behind. But for the women, they've got to put toilets at some point and that. Out there.
Yeah.
So we've done a few laps. You're still coming in quite early. Are you still confident of going a long distance, or was it really messing with your head? Because I know when I attempted it, so we decided we was going to attempt our own little backyard, and we found a 4.15 or 4.16 course. I was coming in at 50 minutes, and the reason I was coming in at 50 minutes was because I was scared of not coming in. Did you have that feeling?
Yeah, so I felt because the people that were doing it were very, very quick. There were some very, very good runners.
Yeah.
And they were very quick runners. So then I think that dictated the whole thing,
right.
because they could keep that pace. So like the Sarah Perry, she was the assist, and she got something like, I think she got 36 laps.
Wow.
But each lap was about 45 minutes.
Wow.
So that was the caliber of runners. And I think that set the tone. So everybody was just going off very fast. And then there was you were then panicking because you were like, well, this is what everybody's doing. And even though I know better, I know a lot better than this. I know not to play other people's games, but I still got caught in it. And then I was like, well, I won't make it back. And so then I did start to time myself. I was like, right, once I get to this point, if I walk, how long? And then I met up with another runner called Luke. And he's a really good backyard runner. He's won quite a few of them. And he was walking some sections. So I just kind of latched onto him. And then I settled myself. So I was like, okay, you've settled into this rhythm, you can do it. But then by that point, so mistake number 5,000, I didn't put my hydration pack on or my vest.
Okay.
So every time I came in, I was trying to down 500 ml of water and eat some food, which obviously doesn't go very well. Whereas I should have been doing, I should have had my vest on my backpack and just taken my food and then eaten it while I was going round the course, because that way I wasn't stressing out my system too much. So that messed me up as well, then trying to eat too quickly, because then obviously I got the ultra sickness from trying to shove stuff down my face too quickly and not letting it settle.
Yeah.
So around about this point, I think I was just I'd got it into my head then. I was like, you can't do this. And I just got like, my body was fine, but I was like, mentally, I was like, you can't do this. You're not fast enough. Even though
what lap was that first thought came in that started to happen? What lap was you on there?
that was about lap 13.
Right.
I was
Okay.
like, it just, and then because someone had said to me about a month before, you've not done 100 miles in 24 hours yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've kind of done close enough. So, because when I did 95 at Endure, it was the hottest day of the year. It was like 30 degrees or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I can get 95 on 30 degrees, I'm pretty sure I could get 100.
Yeah.
But I think that thought then had just stayed in my head and festered. And sometimes I think when you do these events and your head goes, then I can be very unkind to myself.
Right.
So I was like, you're not good enough. You shouldn't be here. You're not fast enough. You're not trained enough. And all these horrible thoughts just latched on then.
But even if you quit at that point, you've still got your 50 miles. You're 12 hours into it. You've got your 50 miles. You've done much more than a lot of other people would have done. I'm pretty certain that a lot of people have dropped out while you were still at this point.
Which I know, and hindsight and kindness are lovely things. But normally, if I get myself in this situation, so I've been in it so the Autumn 100, the first 25 miles, I was like, I'm going to quit. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I was like, just get to 50 miles. You like 50 miles. And then once I got to 50 miles, I was like, oh, actually, I'm great. I love this. I'm fine. But I think the backyard the format didn't allow me to sort of sort myself out. Because you're never on your own.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that sort of 5 minutes of being like, oh, you're rubbish, you can't do this. And then I didn't have the 5 minutes to go, actually, Gemma, you can run. And I didn't have that time to allow myself to talk myself back round. I just had the bad voice stuck there.
I get that sometimes you need that little bit of peace and quiet to actually say, okay, let me gather my thoughts. Actually, what am I doing here? Yes. I can do this. I've done this in the past. And I really get that, actually. Thinking about it, I've never actually thought, sometimes when you're out running, and especially when I've run long distances with my friends, I go quiet. And that's the time I'm saying to myself, you can do this. You've done this. You're only you're 50k into it. You've run much further than this. You can do it. Get yourself into gear, and then you start running again, or I start running again.
Yeah.
And
I think I needed that. I needed a little bit of I needed to sit on the floor, throw my toys out the pram, and then carry on. But the format didn't allow me to do that.
Yeah. So when you got to you went back out for a few more laps after that. What point did you know you was gonna end?
So then I had lap 14. I was on my own for quite a bit of that one because I had to go to the toilet in the middle of the woods because I had a bit of GI issues. And I was like, it's just got to happen.
Yeah.
And then I came in after that one and I kind of was like, so you know the gambling adverts where they say like when the fun stops, stop.
Yeah.
So one of my mottos always is if I'm running, if it's not fun and I can't talk myself out of it, just to stop.
Okay.
Because I do this because I love it. I love running and everything that goes with it. And I'd kind of said to myself on that lap, like the fun has stopped. I'm not enjoying this. And so I was like, we'll just go out for one more and see what you think. So I came in, and that was ironically, that was the first lap that actually kind of did go to plan because I came in at 57 minutes. And I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to be doing all along.
Yeah.
And then went out on the next one in a bit of a strop, but just at myself. I was just annoyed with myself for everything that I'd done wrong in the previous laps. And so I just kind of played my own game and was like, right, I'm going to walk. And I tried to keep myself away from people, like some other people because I had friends running it and they were looking for high numbers.
Yeah.
And I knew I was in a bit of a funk. So I was like, just stay away from them because I didn't want to infect them
Yeah.
with my negativity. But like, stay away and just let them carry on. And then it just came. I had 15 minutes left of the time, and I could have made it in. And I was walking with this other man, and he was like, "How are you finding it?" And I was like, "It's not fun." I was like, "I'm not having fun anymore, and I just don't want to. I don't want to be here." And he was like, "I don't want to be here either." So we were fast hiking at this point.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we got to the section, and I turned around to him and I said, "Look, if you want to make it in, you've got to jog from here. You don't even have to run. You've just got to jog, and you will make it to that finish line." And he just looked at me and he went, "We just walk it in together." And I was like, "Okay." And then that was it.
Oh, wow.
I just had got into my own head. But I was at that time, so I finished, crossed over the line, and I was completely fine with my decision. I was like, this was the right thing to do. You're not having fun. You can train your ass off now for your next race.
I get that.
Did
you have a pit crew?
Yes. This was one of the other problems.
Oh.
So I had my big tent, the big tent that we had for Farmyard, which is great because it's got all the sections.
Yeah.
I had my partner crew with me, but I had 4 other people that were doing this race, and we were meant to have a gazebo where we had like a shared access area. The man that was bringing the gazebo forgot the top of the gazebo.
So you just got a frame and some walls.
Yeah. So then my tent was the biggest. So it was like, right, we'll put all the kit and the aid in my tent.
Yeah.
So then that meant not only was like, and I love these people that I was running with. I absolutely love them. But it meant not only was I running with them, every time I wanted to stop and eat some food and be quiet and sort myself out, everybody was in my tent.
Oh, yeah.
So I just didn't have any space. And that messed me up.
Yeah, I get it. It sounds to me like you had a great plan to start with, but just, things just
Threw
didn't
it out the window. I did that one. I was like, just let's throw everything out the window.
Yeah. Oh, so if my reckoning's right, you got 15 laps?
Yeah, 15 laps.
15 laps. So 71 miles?
I think it's 66, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm counting it wrong. Yeah, 60, yeah, 56 and a half, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is quite good, which, is quite good.
It was fine because it meant literally like the next weekend I could go out running, and like even like 2 days after I could go out for a run. There was no damage. Yeah. I hadn't pushed myself. The only damage was mental damage. Because I finished and was perfectly fine with it. Went to sleep because you can't leave the site until 8 o'clock in the morning, and because I quit in the middle of the night, I was in the tent, so I was like, we'll have to go to sleep. And then I woke up. Went to sleep for 3 hours, woke up and just uncontrollably sobbed for about an hour. Which I think was mostly tiredness and hunger.
Yeah.
But also just annoyed that I'd let everything get to me. And it's ironic because it was a race that was always going to be a DNF.
Yeah. So, see, that's the thing. You've also got to get that in your head, haven't you? That only one person's ever going to not DNF at this race.
And I've never had a DNF. So this was my first ever DNF.
Yeah, that's right. So, like the rest of us, you've DNF'd. And some people like a good DNF. Some people like the fact that they get a DNF. I know the Farmyard Jam, everyone wants a DNF, which is quite shocking. But one of the things I was going to say, what's next? So you've told me you've got this 100 miler coming up, but what about backyards? What's next? Are we going to have another go? Have you? Because you've learned a lot of lessons from this,
Yeah, so I threw my toys out of the pram for about a week. I was like, other than I'm coming back for Farmyard next year because I can't do this year.
Yeah.
Because I like Farmyard. It's nice. I like your toilet situation. and the people are fun and they're great.
Yeah.
But I've been talking to Eric from Russellback, and I think I will go back next March and I think like with Endure, the first time I did Endure, I got 75 miles, and then I went back the next year just with that bee in my bonnet. And I think I've now got a bee in my bonnet. It's like I want to go back to the backyard and actually push my limits properly, because I want to know where I break. I want to know how far my legs can go.
Yeah. Did you? What was your sleep patterns like before? And that was one of the things I was going to ask you, because I'm struggling with the sleep patterns when I'm doing ultras at the moment, especially. Well, what time did it start?
It started at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, which is typical for a backyard. So
yeah,
sleep patterns beforehand, did you stay in bed and then get there late, or what was
this was part of the badness as well. So the night before I got 4 hours sleep, and then it's a 2-hour drive from where I live, and I didn't go up the night before because I was like, it's going to be cold and I'll sleep better at home. And but then obviously, because I had crew, we then had to set off. So I got 4 hours sleep. I had to get up at 5 a.m. to drive across to Sherwood Pines to set up the tent and then do the run. So I was already sleep deprived. Whereas I think my plan for next year is I'm going to go uncrewed and just sort myself out, and book a hotel the night before. So I'm in the location. So I've only got like a half hour or an hour drive. So I can maximize as much time sleeping and not messing. And they have like a tent for uncrewed runners. So you can go, and they've got water set up and everything. So I'm going to go with my backpack, be uncrewed, and just sort myself out and have a hotel the night before.
I think there's a centre park very, very close to Sherwood Pines.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how much they charge, but, one of their little pods, for a night would be absolutely perfect for the night before, I think. And it's only around the corner, isn't it? So
yeah, I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to do the one in September, but I'm also tempted. There's a horrible race down in Cornwall, and that's loops. It's like 5-mile loops and lots of steps.
What's that one called?
Bring Out Your Dead by Mud Crew.
Yes, I've seen that one. Yes, yeah.
So I have got a sneaky eye on that. So,
but it's not as devious or as bad as what's going off at this moment in time. We quickly talked about this off air. Currently the Barclays is going on.
Yeah.
Are you avidly watching it?
I love Barkley. I love Laz. Hence why I wanted to do the backyard. I just think he's wicked, and it's great. Just like, I love watching Barkley, trying to figure out the whole way it's all done on Twitter, and it's not much fuss, and trying to decode who's the snazzy guy in the shorts, the royal looking English woman. I think it's just fabulous.
It is. Do you think Yasmin's going to get the win? Get to the end?
I hope so. I think she's really, really strong. I'm worried because obviously Damon's got the spine in his legs.
Yeah. So
she hasn't got that. So I think that's good for her. I would love her to win. I'd love a female to win. I think I love seeing, especially in ultras, how females can start to match the men.
Yeah.
And I think,
I think as we're recording this, we're probably going to date this now so people will know when we've done this. But Kelly was out first on lap 4, and Yasmin was within 30 minutes of him going out, I believe. And Damien was about 15 minutes after that. So it's anyone's race. We all know that, this is the time, isn't it? This is when everything happens. This
is when they go do that and can't find things.
Yeah.
Apparently there's more books out on the course this year as well, which is causing them problems.
Yeah, I read that. On the first lap, someone came back in without a page and had to go back out for 3 extra hours to get a page or something.
Well, I was surprised because Harvey Lewis only got 2 laps, and I was very, very surprised at that.
Yeah.
I thought he would have. But then I think the terrain is bonkers.
And there's some new section I've been told where it's it's very prickly and very bushy to get through.
Yeah, have you seen like the state of their legs when they come? Like they're just trashed. Like
Yeah.
You wonder why they're wearing shorts and things, but then if they wore leggings, they'd come back naked. So
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely mental out there, but yeah, I'm avidly watching it. My Twitter is constantly tweeting, going, well, it's not Twitter, X now, isn't it? We call it Twitter, but it's X now.
it's the only time I ever look at it.
Yeah. It's the only time I ever looked at it, to be honest. But it's constantly it's the only time when I actually turn notifications on for it. It's constantly giving me notifications. I think I only follow about 4 people on Twitter. But yeah, Keith and I follow him all the time. So Gemma, thank you for coming and joining me. I was really interested in your story about the backyard. Can't wait till we see you next year for the Farmyard. Good luck if you are going to do it this September, and good luck in the 100 miler coming up and that in Centurion. I know you've got it in you. 100 miles in 24 hours will be yours very soon, I think.
Thank you very much.